Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about squares and square roots. We're going to focus on the exponent of 2 and the square root. So before we've been talking about all exponents, today it's just going to be that squaring. That's a number raised to the second power, and a square root, that number cut in half. Okay? Or that square cut in half, actually. So we're going to do a couple of warm-ups. I hope you're set to go. Let's go. All right, so there are 5 warm-ups here. 5 warm-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want you to do these and then come back for the answer. So pause now, do these 5 problems. Go. All right, so the very first one, we have 5 to the second. Remember, 5 to the second means 5 times 5, not 5 times 2. It is 5 times 5, which is 25. 8 to the second. What does 8 to the second mean? 8 times 8, which is 64. 64. Next one, 12 times 12, because that's what 12 to the second means. Your answer is 144. Second to last one. I'm jumping ahead. I'm so excited. Okay, we take 15 to the second power, which is 15 times 15. Your answer, 225. Your last one is 20 to the second power, which again, 20 times 20. Your answer is 400. Okay, so we will be dealing with these a lot today, so I hope you are. All right, so we are going to be finding square roots, but in order for us to find square roots, we are also going to be using square root, or using square. Okay. So what do you know about a square? Okay, so you may know already that it has 4 sides, there are 4 right angles, and that all the sides are equal. These are things that we have talked about, or not we have talked about, but you may have talked about in the past in previous math classes. So if we have a square, okay, what would the area, so looking at this square, this green square, all right, we have all of our sides are 3. What is the area? How do you find the area of that square? Well, you just take your side, and you take 3, and you multiply it by another side, which is 3 times 3, which is 9. Okay? Another way to look at this, instead of just taking, all we would need is one side of a square to find the area of a square, right? Because if I know that both sides are the same, I could take 3 squared, which is also 9. All right? Now, if I gave you the area of this square, could you find the side length? Yes, and the way you do that is you actually find the square root. You actually find the square root of a rectangle. So, for instance, this square has an area of 9. Okay? If I wanted to go from the area back to the side, I would actually find the square root of 9. Okay? Because the square root of 9 is 3. Now, when you think about square roots are the exact opposite of squaring. Okay? So, for instance, again, here I'll give us a new problem. Okay, so if I give us a square here. Okay, again, perfect square, and I gave us the area, let's say the area of is 16. In order for us to find the side length, we would need to take the square root of 16, which is 4. Okay, so we know that all of these sides are 4. If you look at this, 4 times 4 is equal to 16. 16, the square root of 16, is equal to 4. So that's squaring, so 4 squared is 16, and the square root of 16 is 4. That squaring symbol and the square root symbol, they're opposites of one another. A lot like multiplication and division are opposites, square rooting and squaring are opposites of one another. All right? So that brings me to this point. All right? Now, if you look at this, all right, please write down the principal square root. Please write that down. So pause now, write just the principal square root down. All right, so if you look at a calculator, we have a calculator, so on a calculator, you can hit that square root key. If you have a calculator, the Texas Instrument, the TI-30, it will be, in order for you to get to that square root symbol, you need to hit the second button, and then there's a button that has x to the second power. That gives you your square root button. Okay, if you find the square root of 16 on your calculator, it gives you 4. Square root of 16, which we just talked about, gives you 4. And that means 4 times 4 is equal to 16, okay, which we know is true. But at the same time, there are two square roots of a number. There's a positive square root, and there's also something called a negative square root, okay? Because the square root of 16, the negative square root of 16, is negative 4. And the reason behind that is negative 4 times negative 4 is what? Positive 16. Okay? So there's 2 square roots to each one. There's a positive and there's a negative. 4 and negative 4 are the square roots of 16. Notice that this, at the very bottom here, when you put the negative sign underneath that radical or underneath the square root sign, it is impossible for you to find an answer because there's not a square. If you look on your calculator and you type in the square root of a negative number, it will come out as domain error. It is impossible. The negative sign needs to be on the outside. The reason behind that, if you find the square root of a negative number, it's what's called imaginary numbers. We won't get into that right now. Okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to look at this. I want you to write all of these down and then grab a calculator, okay? And I want you to go through all of these square roots. Now, some of them might be more than one decimal, and you can just write a couple of decimals down. You don't have to write the entire thing, just maybe 2 or 3 tenths, or sorry, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths place. You don't have to round it all, just write those out. Okay, so pause now, write the list. So here's the list that you can compile. Now, if you look at these, looking at 1, 2, and 9, okay, those are, notice how they're all whole numbers. Okay, those are known as perfect squares. And you could keep going on this list for a long time. Remember that there's not just, these are all of the positive square roots. There are also negative square roots in there too. So the square root of 1 would be 1 and negative 1. Square root of 4, 2 and negative 2. Okay, but your calculator only gives you that principal square root, which is the positive square root. All right? All right, so now what I want you to do is I want you to find both square roots of each number. So you can use your calculator for this if you want to. If you don't need it, that's fine. This should be quick on both of these. So pause now, give it a shot. All right, so the square root of 49, 2 numbers that multiply together, two of the same number that multiply this together to get to 49. That would be 7 and negative 7. 100, 10 and negative 10. And 225 would be 15 and negative 15. If we look at this, 7 times 7 is 49. Negative 7 times negative 7 is a positive 49. 10 times 10, positive 100. 15 times 15, positive 225. So all of these would give you the square roots. These are the square roots of each number. All right? Okay, so now if you look at this, we've talked about problems like this. I want you to write this down and then I will explain. So pause now to write it down and then I will explain the problem. All right, so when you look at this, hopefully you didn't finish this quite yet. It said a square-shaped table has an area of 16 square feet. will it fit through a van door that has a 5-foot wide opening? Okay, when we look at this, we don't worry about the area. Okay, when we're trying to fit that table through the door, the van door, we're worried about the width, right? In order for us to find it, to put that table through the door, you want the width of the table, not the area. We want the width. Okay, so if I have a square table, okay, I'm just going to do a square with an area of 16. How do you find the width of each side? We talked about this right at the very beginning. Okay, think about that. Then see if that width fits through a 5-foot door. So 5 feet of a door. That's a door. Can't forget about the door handle and the floor. Inside that door is a wonderful world of math. All right, so try this one. Pause. Go. All right, so the side length of this, 16 square feet. Oh, I forgot about the feet here. Okay, in order for us to find the width, we need to take the square root of 16, which is 4. Now, remember when we talked about that there are 2 square roots to each number. Okay, there's a positive and there's a negative. Does it make sense for us to use the negative square root of this? No, I can't give you negative 4 feet of a table. It doesn't work. Okay, so it's going to be 4 feet is each length. Each length is 4. So if you look at each length, it is 4. Now, again, this only works for squares. Okay, not rectangles, squares. So a square table has 4 feet of width. Now, does that fit through a 5-foot door? Yes, it does. Yes, indeedy. Okay, will it fit through a 5-foot door? Yeah, a 4-foot table can fit through a 5-foot door. Absolutely works. Now, we're not pretending that the door is going to be high enough as far as the legs. Don't worry about the legs. That's a whole new problem. But does that 4-foot wide table fit through a 5-foot door? Yes, it does. All right, now we are going to write evaluate. So all you have to do is write evaluate there, and there are 3 problems. Remember, you have to write the directions and the problems. Directions and problems. Problems, directions, problems. Yellow bar. Beautiful. Okay, so what you are going to do, I want you to see, I'm going to do the first one, and then we'll see if you can come up with the next 2. That third one's tricky. That third one is tricky. But I want to see if you can come. Now, if we look at this, we are going to evaluate each expression. Now, when we find the square roots in here, again, we're going to use the principal square root, not the negative square root. We're going to use the principal square root. All right? So, 3 square root of 36 plus 7. All right, how do you find that? Well, that means 3 times the square root of 36 plus 7. Again, 3 times the square root of 36. We need to find the square root first. Square root is like an exponent. We need to find the exponent before we multiply. Okay, so what's the square root of 36? It is 6. Order of operations state, we have to multiply before we add. We get 18 plus 7, add those 2, we get 25 for our answer. All right? So, what I want you to do is I want you to try the second one and then throw a monkey wrench in there. Give the third one a shot. I want you to see if you can do it. All right? Okay, so try the second one, see how you do. Then try that third one just to see if we can do it. A little challenge. Mr. Schumann likes to throw a curveball in there. Okay? Go! All right, here we go. So the second one, we have 2 times the square root of 81 minus 5. What is that square root of 81? That's what I have to come up with first. Well, that is 9, then subtracting by 5. What do we do first? Order of operations. So we get 18 minus 5. Again, our answer is, this time it's 13. 13. Okay, last one. This one's the last one of the day. Now, when you find the square root of 25 is just like saying, the square root of 25 over 16 is just like saying the square root of 25 over the square root of 16. So when you do that, it's a little tricky. Again, I wanted to see if you could do it. You can find out very quickly. The square root of 25 is what? 5. Square root of 16 is what? 4. Add them together. What is? Do we have a common denominator? 5 plus 3. Yes, we do have a common denominator. I apologize. I'm going too fast. I get too excited with these squares and square roots. 5 plus 3 is 8. Keep our denominator. Simplify as much as possible, which is 2. All right? That's all I have for you today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!